Owen Wilson is the face of the laid-back Hollywood charmer, a man whose easy drawl and wow catchphrase have become synonymous with a sunny, carefree disposition. But beneath that golden blonde exterior lies a story of profound darkness, a battle with a quiet demon that nearly took his life on a Sunday afternoon in August 2007. To understand the tragedy of Owen Wilson, you have to look past the comedies and the blockbuster hits like Wedding Crashers and Zoolander, and look into the eyes of a man who, since the age of 11, has been haunted by a morbid obsession with his own mortality. Born in Dallas, Texas, to an advertising executive father and a photographer mother, Owen was the middle child of 3 brothers, all of whom would find fame. But Owen was always the outlier, the rebellious spirit who was expelled from a prestigious preparatory school for cheating on a geometry test, a mistake that sent him to a military academy where the rigid discipline felt like a cage for his creative soul. While the world saw his crooked nose as a charming quirk of his persona, it was actually the physical scar of 2 separate traumas, one from a high school fight and another from a devastating motorcycle accident in 2000 that left him face first on the pavement, a metaphor for the way his life would eventually collide with reality. The true heartbreak, however, wasn't physical. It was an internal collapse that had been brewing for decades. In the mid-2000s, while at the height of his career, Owen was spiraling into a deep, clinical depression exacerbated by a high-profile, volatile relationship with actress Kate Hudson and a reported struggle with substance abuse that friends like Woody Harrelson tried desperately to intervene in. On August 26, 2007, the laughter finally stopped. In a moment of absolute despair that shocked the global community, Owen attempted to take his own life at his Santa Monica home. He was discovered by his brother, Andrew, who found Owen in a state of physical and emotional ruin, having slashed his wrists and consumed a dangerous quantity of pills. The image of the funny man being rushed to St. John's Health Center in serious condition remains one of Hollywood's most sobering reminders that a smile can be a mask for a soul in agony. The tragedy deepened as the paparazzi hounded his family at the hospital, forcing Owen to issue a heartbreaking public plea to allow him to heal in private, a request that was largely ignored by a media hungry for the details of his unraveling. This incident cost him his role in Tropic Thunder and forced him into a long, reclusive recovery where he had to learn how to live with the darkness that he admitted never truly goes away. But the layers of Owen's tragedy extend into his family life. He watched his beloved father, Robert Wilson, slowly fade away as he battled the cruel, erasing hand of Alzheimer's disease for years before passing in 2017, a loss that Owen describes as a hollowing out of his world. Perhaps the most complex and debated tragedy in his life is the estrangement from his 3rd child, a daughter named Lila, whom he has reportedly never met. Despite a paternity test confirming his fatherhood and the mother's public pleas for his involvement, Owen has remained a ghost in her life while being a devoted, hands-on father to his 2 sons, Robert and Finn. This internal contradiction, a man who can play a warm, loving father on screen but remains absent from his own daughter's life, suggests a deeply fractured personal world and a legacy of pain that continues to ripple through his private life. Owen Wilson is a survivor, yes, but he is a survivor who carries the heavy weight of a near miss with death every single day, proving that sometimes the people who make us laugh the loudest are the ones fighting the quietest, most heartbreaking wars within themselves. Owen Wilson's journey since that fateful day in 2007 has been a quiet, painstaking reconstruction of a shattered soul, a process he often describes as riding the wave and hoping it doesn't break. The aftermath of his suicide attempt saw his older brother, Andrew, becoming his literal lifeline, moving into Owen's home and meticulously crafting daily schedules just to help him navigate the crushing weight of existing for another 24 hours. This period of recovery was not a quick fix, but a years-long transition from simply managing the day to eventually finding moments that felt actually good. Though the scars of his depression remain part of his permanent psychological landscape, he has admitted that the morbid thoughts he carried since age 11, that terrifying realization of mortality, never truly disappeared. They simply became something he learned to live alongside, like a shadow that lengthens as the sun sets. The tragedy of his father's decline into Alzheimer's served as a cruel mirror to his own fragility. Watching the man who was his greatest influence lose the ability to joke, to remember, and eventually to breathe, leaving Owen to grapple with the reality that even the strongest spirits can be erased. Yet, while he found a way to be a fairly adept and doting father to his sons, Ford and Finn, even surprising himself with his ability to handle the challenges of diapers and teenage attitudes, the silence surrounding his daughter, Lila, remains a haunting footnote. Despite DNA tests and public pleas from her mother, Varuni Vongsvirates, Owen's choice to check the no visitation box in court creates a jarring disconnect for a man who often plays the warm, empathetic patriarch on screen. This emotional paradox, a man who deeply understands the pain of abandonment and the fear of death, yet chooses to remain a stranger to his own flesh and blood, is perhaps the most enduring mystery of his life. Today, as he passes the age of 50, he speaks of finding a tentative peace and contentment that he once thought was impossible for a child as haunted as he was. But the public continues to watch the laid-back star with a sense of bittersweet irony. He remains a man of high peaks and devastating valleys, proving that the most difficult role he ever played was not in a comedy or a drama, but in the private, unscripted battle to stay present in a world that once felt far too heavy to hold.